Good evening. Today is Tuesday, June the 15th, 2021, and you are now here at the City of Opa-locka CRA meeting. The meeting is called to order. The time now is 7:15, I think it is, 7:15. Madam Clerk, can we have roll call, please?
Board Member Berg, Board Member Paget,
Yes.
Board Member Taylor,
Yes.
Board Member Titus,
Present.
Board Member Williams,
Here.
Vice Chair Davis,
Here.
Chair Russell,
Here.
attendance confirmed.
We're going to ask Board Member Titus if she would give us a word of prayer, and then we're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance.
Father, we do thank you and praise you for this great opportunity to represent you in the earth. You said, if any man lacks wisdom, to ask of you, and you would give it unto him freely. We ask you for your wisdom. You said in your word that you established all government, so may we conduct ourselves and the business of this city in a manner, the same manner in which you would. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you to all of our board members. We know that you all had a meeting earlier, and so we're going to try as much as we can not to hold you too long tonight. We do have one add-on item that we want to. Excuse me, Madam Clerk, I see you raising your hand to me.
Oh, that's okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. We need the attorney. You need to read something into the records?
No, we're in person.
Okay, we're all in person. Where was that? Oh, add-on item. We want to have an add-on item tonight, and Mr. Director, you want to introduce it, or you want me to?
I'll speak to it, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, I believe a few of you and some members of the board and members in the community have seen some new development occurring within our city. And it was by your looking forward that we should invite them to come and make a presentation. So we have the proprietors for Palmetto Homes here to basically make a presentation on some housing they're doing within the city of Opa-locka, and to see what maybe opportunities could be presented further down the road for some collaboration between that particular entity and the CRA. So we can actually hear them right after the minutes are approved and before public comment.
Okay, maybe we could do it after public comments, I think would be better served.
Whatever your pleasure is.
Okay. Board members, did you all hear the add-on item? Madam Clerk, can we have, do we have to move it first?
Mm-mm.
Or we can all just agree how we have to take a vote?
Is it for discussion or for?
It's just for discussion, just a presentation. It's not anything we're gonna be voting on.
No, you don't have to.
Okay, okay. All right, so do we have the will of the board, everyone?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's do the minutes. Can I have someone to move the minutes, please?
Move it.
Moved by Board Member Davis,
Second.
second by Board Member Taylor. Any discussion? If not, roll call.
Board Member Paget,
Yes.
Board Member Taylor,
Yes.
Board Member Titus,
Yes.
Board Member Williams,
Yes.
Vice Chair Davis,
Yes.
Chair Russell,
Yes,
minutes passed.
thank you. I'm gonna open public comments. Public comments is now open. Seeing none. Madam Clerk, did we have, well, we have one?
Yes, we do have an add-on document. So for discussion item I1, which is the update of bylaws, we want to add just a document, a memo of the CRA bylaws. When we get to that, I can hand it out to everyone.
Okay.
And also for H2 in your resolution, H2, I received this letter today. Once we get to resolution H2, I will provide that for you all, but I received this today from Mr. Delane, okay? And once we get there, I'll hand it out to everyone.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Now we're going, go ahead, Mr. Gay, you can introduce our guest presentation.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. As I was stating before, we've had some recent developments occur within the city of Opa-locka, which is a new type of housing stock for our city. Mr. Ariel Lundy of Palmetto Homes has received some properties from Miami-Dade County as a part of their infill housing program. And he basically took it upon himself and his development team to do something that may be new and innovative to the city of Opa-locka. He has developed a twin home housing type development in the Magnolia North area. I believe some of you may have seen it, but it's on the corner of Duval and Washington. It is basically twin homes side by side. I believe his form is actually for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath with a 1-car garage. This is a type of housing that we begin to see in other parts of Miami-Dade County. And we're happy to see that this is an opportunity for home ownership to come into the city of Opa-locka. So we have the development team here. Mr. Lundy is here. I will ask him to come forward and make a presentation about his development and what we foresee to occur moving forward in some areas of our city.
First of all, give us your name and your address.
My address is 4952 Northwest 7th Avenue. The name of my company is Palmetto Homes in Miami, Inc. Steve Lurie is my architect. My operation manager here is Ms. Tasha Knowles. And I'm a developer that build single-family homes, also commercial stuff. And I wanted to come in Opa-locka. I've been trying to get in there for a long time. And Commissioner Jordan have given me a chance. Also, I'm working with the new commissioner now, but she's working very close with me right now to make the housing project that I'm doing inside the district of Opa-locka to be a successful ordeal. If you look at the townhomes there that we're building at the moment, they were going for $205,000 that we're selling to the people in Opa-locka, which we want the residents from Opa-locka to have those particular homes. Also, we want the young men that we work out the community, but we have a few lots that we got from the county. And what we want to do is take those particular townhomes and just build them all through the city for the residents of Opa-locka. That's the agenda, what we're trying to accomplish. Also, we have built green homes, solar panels that we also put in there that we have actually did in the city of Miami that we will also here in Opa-locka, because we know that most of these people here is in a situation where they're on a set budget. So everything we're trying to do is make it convenient with the type of homes we want to build. Either go either way, but some of them townhomes, some of them single family. And what I really want to focus on is bringing solar panels inside here to where the people can have the energy bill, water bill, light bill, very inexpensive in here. And I appreciate that they're giving me, but I appreciate, Madam Chair, that you're giving me the opportunity to come here because there's so much things I would like to do, but I would like to really get with y'all and sit down with y'all to really make in that area there like a Wynwood, like a Grove. And that's what I'm trying to accomplish and make it affordable. And I talked with Mr. Gregg a couple of times about what we trying to accomplish, and he have supported me in the past to try to make this a productive endeavor. So I took it upon myself to take my own personal money to make it work, to show the county, to show y'all here that it can be done if we all work together. Now, since I got it to a certain point, it's just a matter of us getting together now to joint venture, to do some things in there for the community, because there's a lot of growth that we can really do to really make that place so beautiful. Because, you know, once you start it once, you know, the other people are going to come in and start buying up the duplex and stuff like that. Because remember, it's a small area. So most people like those little areas to invest in, to come in and put those type of models that I'm doing. So I'm trying to make it to where we can make this a project that can be on a national scale, not just a local scale. Because I want to bring in solar panels, you know, that I already have done. It's not like I haven't done it. So these are things that I have done. So I just want to take inside there and different places in the city and do stuff like that. But I just need y'all support. I'm asking for y'all support to come in. I can sit down, talk with the right people, so I can be able to sit down, come up with a budget. Y'all work along with me so I can come in there and do more things. I have the vision. You can give me the ideas, and we can make it work to where we can put these people in the community in beautiful homes. Because I like to do custom stuff. I don't do affordable houses. I do custom homes. I've been doing it for years. So when I do something, I do it for the sake of the people. I'm the people's choice. I love working for the people. I love doing things that people say, well, can't be done. I like to challenge people. I like to challenge white folks. I like to challenge all of them to show them that it can be done in our community. That's what I get out of it. When I go there and put a $500,000 house inside that area, inside there, I'm showing y'all, showing them, showing everybody that it can be done. I know it's being done. I'm taking my time, getting it done, ordering stuff, taking time to get in it, but it's being done. So the only thing I ask y'all to do is help me, support me, so I can be able to make this endeavor a successful endeavor and go in there and come out there and still come in other areas in Opa-locka, because y'all have other land, other things that we can sit down and we can put together. Listen to me, when you see a Black person that's trying to build his company, and as long as he have the opportunity, y'all can push him and take him to the next level, because the opportunity is here. You know, y'all can do it. You know, once you see it, all you got to do is see it. Once you see it mentally, forget about all the politics. Look at the sake of the people. That's the people's choice over there. That's for the people. So everything will come in, you're talking about they doing this, they doing that, get it out of the way. Tell them I'm here to help these poor people. That's what it's about inside there. Helping the poor people. I'm not going to make a bunch of money, but it's not about that. It's about showing that it can be done. And we're doing it. That's why I took it upon myself to go inside there, deal with it. I even take the guys them inside there, and I built it with them, with the same people in that little community right there. I put them to work the best way I can. If you go in and ask them everything I've been doing, I've been taking them, putting them on the job, you know, and making it work for them. But if we can just work together, we can make this work. Steve, you want to come up here and have a conversation, please?
Thank you for
Madam
taking
Clerk,
part
you want to
there.
pass out something?
Yes, I was.
Yeah, there's some samples of the architecture that she's going to pass out. I think what Aereo has always had a good vision for, and has really helped me to push me along in that same direction, is to kind of, especially in this community, to try to fuse the basis for the architecture here, the sort of Middle Eastern, Arabian Nights kind of feel, and modernize it. And instead of just on the surface taking elements and sticking them on buildings and facades, we really want to give a quality to the building. It is not necessarily that much more expensive to build. It just has to be, it has to be seen. It has to be put together. Somebody of his talents that can see that bringing this kind of thing to this community, this is a very unique community. It has a kind of a special place in all the communities around South Florida. And I think it has this flavor of this Middle Eastern feel that we can use to, in a modern way, and bring a loftiness and a height and a proportion that feels more human and more uplifting than just your standard box with holes punched in the walls. So we really want to try to give a three-dimensional quality to these buildings, give them a modern feel, use materials that are indigenous to the architecture that was sort of began here, the tiles and the sort of the feel of that Middle Eastern motif and mosaic, and apply them to the buildings and do it in a small scale and in larger scales. We have on the boards next to Duval on Alibaba, we have what is it, 6 units there? There's 6 units on the corner that we're proposing in the same kind of style. And he's got control of, what, another 5 lots in that area?
And I want to sit down with y'all so y'all can say y'all opinion. I mean, about some of the lots that we have. Let me sit down with Mr. Gregory and everybody here and say, hey, can we do this? Can we do that? And y'all put some input in it, because at the end of the day, we want to work with y'all. We want y'all to be able to have something, your teeth in this too, so we can work together and make it work. Because you might have some other things in the back there, what y'all might want to do, I don't know, but at the end of the day, we're working together. We can sit down and say, hey, let's do this together. Let's make this work for whatever. I'm gonna have a piece of lot in there that y'all might be aware of, that I have. We might do something on that lot that benefit y'all. We have to go back to the county and say, hey, this is what y'all would like to do. Let's make it work. To have benefits what y'all trying to accomplish, because everybody gonna have a situation they possibly would like to see back there. And we can sit down and talk. You got the architect, you got me here, and we can make this work to benefit everybody. Because everybody wants to have a legacy they want with that shit. We can sit down and say, okay, we got this lot here, carve this out, everybody get a piece of action. That's what it's about.
By the way, my name is Steve Luria. My background is I've been an architect for 37 years, and I've practiced in California and Washington, D.C. area, Virginia, Maryland, and here. I've been here for 25 years. And I've worked with Aereo for 17 years. And I love working with Aereo. He has a unique ability to stretch the dollar thinner than anybody I've ever seen. And he's able to really accomplish a lot with very little. And he has always been in the forefront of this whole green movement. And he's trying to make it very sustainable and very easy for the people that buy these homes to live in them and to be able to afford to run the utilities and to live there for a good long time. In the past, we built homes out of concrete with using insulated concrete forms. And they turned out to be a real success because they cut the electric bills down. They're very strong. They don't get damaged in any kind of hurricanes or anything. They're built for 200-mile-an-hour winds. And we successfully built quite a few of those homes. So we have quite a track record behind us. And what we'd like to do is actually up the game a little bit here and plant a seed right here in Opa-locka for a kind of a fusion and an integral kind of architecture that combines something modern with something traditional and something that's unique to this particular town. And we appreciate it, whatever help you can give us to do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ariel, and thank you, sir. And board members, do you have questions or comments?
Yes, Chairwoman Russell.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. First, kudos. Thank you. And if I can say it in 10 different languages, I would. And I'm speaking to the board right now. I was told over the weekend by a friend to visit the property. And I walked through all 4 properties. And I don't even have any words other than I was lost for words at not only the level and quality of construction, but the quality of the material and how absolutely beautiful these properties are. So I employed the CRA board to please make an appointment with Mr. Lundy, or you probably can catch him out there because he was just out there when I went. Not only does he employ the community, and I saw this firsthand, he employs the community to help build his property, but he has all the community stakeholders behind him. But I will tell you this. I will tell you this. I am appalled, completely appalled, that I had to get a call from a friend to go see this property. And no one from the leadership, no one from the city, no one even said to me that this property was being built in our great city, and not only in our great city, but in Magnolia North, Alabama. I think it's just astounding, and not a good astounding, but bad, that we just didn't know that we have a developer, because we were told that nobody wants to develop in Opa-locka. And that's on record. And I'm going to do the record search. No one wants to develop in Opa-locka. But here's the developer right here who decided to take the chains and start developing with or without our support. That's to be commended. And let me tell you something. Thank you, Mr. Lundy, for making it happen. Because I've been on this board for months, and I'm waiting and waiting for it to happen. Thank you for making something happen in Opa-locka that we can be proud of. I'm telling you, board, please walk through. I am putting all my support, and I hope that we as a CRA put our support behind Mr. Lundy in his future endeavors and future projects. As an educator, we have to build homes in our community for the working class. I'm not saying we can't. I'm sorry if you hear my passion, but when I had a teacher's salary, I could not afford a home on a teacher's salary. Police officers cannot afford homes on their salaries. But Mr. Lundy is trying to make Opa-locka great by building homes that we can afford, that I can afford, and that I can continue to live here in the great city of Opa-locka. I'm not trying to down Section 8, but we have a whole lot of Section 8 in Opa-locka. So it is time that we come up, rise up, and get behind a developer that we were told we don't have anyone can develop in or wants to develop. Thank you, Mr. Lundy. I'm done.
Anyone else?
Madam Chair,
Vice Chair Davis?
thank you. I'm loving the passion that's in the room around development. Thank you again, Mr. Lundy. I had a chance to view some of the work that Mr. Lundy and his company, Palmetto Homes, has done in the Triangle in its early stages when you guys came before the board for approval. So glad to see several of those projects go forward. If you know anything about the history of the Magnolia North neighborhood, over the last, I'll say, maybe 10 to 15 years, there's been a lot of federal resources being poured into that community. One organization, of course, the Opa-locka CDC, who's done several multifamily developments in the same community, as well as Mr. Lundy and other private developers. So just excited to see many of those projects go forth. Magnolia North is a very small area of our community, one of our more problematic subsections. So glad to see so many residential projects go forward, i.e. your project, which is geared towards home ownership, which is something that Vice Mayor mentioned that we value here in our community. Very excited to see that you guys are now working with the green homes model, which is, sustainable in another regard. And I'm sure if those opportunities present itself in our community, they'll be very excited to have them. But thank you again. This public-private partnership, I think, in many ways has fulfilled many promises that have been unkept within that community. So, you know, the infill housing program, you know, it's been contracted to several developers who's expressed interest in, you know, providing home ownership in the community who have pulled out. So just excited to see that you guys hung in there and not only fulfilled that promise, but also provided quality housing that I'm sure our residents would love. But thank you. Keep doing the great work. And any way that I, as a board member, can assist or support the work that you're doing throughout our great city, let me know. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Anyone else?
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
I too want to say thank you for bringing this to our city. I was able to view the exterior of the building, and it really does look nice. And I love the fact that you're encouraging home ownership in our city. And the solar panel, the green homes, that's a plus for me as well. So I just want to say kudos to you and keep up the good work. And like my colleague said, anything that I can do to support you, I would like to. And do we have his number? Because I do want to tour the interior of it.
Well,
Can we get it afterward?
yes, we could get his number
Okay.
afterwards in tour. He could set up a tour if you would like to go into the property.
Yeah.
What y'all would like to see in that particular community, because everybody might have an opinion, like I said, about something else. Because we got some land in there, we can utilize our land to do different things that y'all might want us to do for the sake of the community. So that's what I'm saying. So what I would like to do is get with everybody, we can sit down, and that way, us to work together with the CRA, and we can come up with something to make it a lot better than what we're trying to do.
Great.
Throughout the city of
Go ahead, Board Member Paget.
I will echo my colleague's sentiments, Mr. Lundy. For years, you've been doing this work all across the county. And we are thankful that you've been here in Opa-locka. Even when everybody else was not down for it, you came. And I want to thank you for that work that you've been doing over there to really uplift Magnolia North in that area. One thing of note, and I do want my colleagues, one of the fundamental factors in supporting the work of Mr. Lundy is the properties that are available and having land to develop. Unfortunately, most of our land, I think almost all of our land in the triangle, we had to, to give away. So, that's something that we are looking to make sure that in the future, moving forward, we are much more careful with our stewardship of our land so that we can do what we need to do to work with developers to give that level of excellence in housing that you've been bringing to this city. And we have that work there. So we've already had conversations with the vice chair of the commission. There is a pretty large property that hasn't been sitting there for a while. We look forward to advocating to make sure that all the county-owned land is appropriated to the best and highest use for our community. So we're looking forward to engaging that. So thank you very much for your work. Just continue what you're doing. Much respect, brother.
Mr. Lundy, and thank you all very much for being here. And I was just absolutely blown away. And as you all know, I'm an advocate for young people. And the one thing that caught my eye is when I saw the people in the community over there, Mr. Lundy say, get a hammer or get a drill and do this or do that. And then the young people that he's training inside the places, that stole my heart right away. So the homes are absolutely gorgeous on the inside, and I don't even know how, somebody just asked me to go and look over there, and I was amazed, very much amazed at the quality of work that was being done over there, and to have our people in our community over there participating and learning. You know, it's nothing like on the job training. And to have them working in those homes, I mean, if it's nothing but putting up drywall, that's a trade that they're learning. So I'm glad to hear the board say that they support you and the work that you're doing over there. And, you know, I don't know what we could do. One thing, you also said that you have other lots. So we, as a board, had given our Vice Chair Davis about a month or so ago, an initiative to look for some projects that we can participate in as a CRA. So we know that he's very aggressive. So we know that he'll be taking the helm and getting with you, Mr. Lundy, and your team, and seeing how we can move forward and to help you accomplish not only what you're trying to accomplish in the community, but also some ideas that this board may have with some of the other lots. Because, you know, when you bring people into a community, they look for amenities, they look for other things, not, you know, everybody don't want to drive 10 miles to go to a restaurant or go to a store. So there are other things also that we as a CRA can look at. So thank you again. Thank you to the architect and young lady. Thank you. Nice meeting you. And the gentleman, I think he's with you as well from the community, right? He's, yes.
That type of situation, so showing him how to deal with this stuff, how to build. You learn, you go for yourself, because sometimes you only know one thing. So once you sit down and take the time out to work with them, it can help the person to really become better in life. God bless you.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, go ahead, Board Member Titus.
I just want to briefly say, you know, there's a cliche that says you're only as strong as your weakest link. And that particular area happens to be one of our weakest links. And I just commend you for coming in and choosing our weakest link. And it's going to counterpult many, many things, many good things because of your initiative.
Thank you. Thank you. Job well done, Mr. Lundy, and I'm quite sure you'll be hearing from not only our Vice Chair, Board Member Davis, but also from Mr. Gay, our Director, as well, because we look forward to seeing as a board what we could do, because we would love to have our CRA name on something over there in that area, and that people will say, wow, Opa-locka has a CRA?
Get the signs ready.
Okay, we'll get our
Sign
sign.
is ready.
You hear that, Vice Chair?
That's good. Be ready. Matter of fact, we'll start next week, put stuff in the department with Greg.
Many thanks, many thanks to the CRA for hearing us out and for all the compliments. Thank you.
And thank you all for coming, and thank you for doing a great job. And thank you most of all for being concerned about those people over there in that community that have, for whatever reason, been incarcerated or whatever they've gone through in life, and that you're not afraid. You're not afraid to take those people and give them a job. And that's what we need in our community. That's what we need, board members, people more like you. So thank you again.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
if I could just put in a real quick word here.
Go ahead.
I've known Mr. Lundy probably close to 30 years now, and I've seen him evolve. And when I first met him, he was a little knucklehead child, and he didn't want to listen to nobody. So now he has evolved into a very prosperous and strong young man in the development community. So for him to come to our most challenged neighborhood is not by happenstance. It's intentional. And I just wanted to say to him, I appreciate the work he's done. I know he's been challenged along the way. Some of you would sit up here and say that you didn't know about this project, but I've been putting this project in my reports for the last 2 years. So it's just a matter of reading the information, and it's right there in front of you, and it tells you exactly where to go and
Just
see
got
what
here.
projects are occurring. So I just like to say kudos to you. We do have more properties. We're looking at other opportunities, not only in Magnolia North, but throughout the CRA. So we're going to work with you and see how we can make those opportunities come to fruition for your housing products.
Thank you, Mr. Lundy, and we look forward. I'm quite sure you'll be getting a call from our vice chair as well as our director as to where do we go from here, because we're looking to do great things in Opa-locka. We're moving forward as a city, and this is just another step for us to take. So.
Sit down, put that together, get funding from everywhere, CRA, in a situation like that, because nobody think it can be done. So just a matter of sitting down, let's put together, make it happen.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you. That was a very refreshing, board members, that was a very refreshing presentation for us as a board. And not only for us as a board, but for us as community, because I know that one thing I've heard Vice Chair Davis say a lot is that we need more home ownership in our city and homes that are affordable. And if I'm not mistaken, I think I heard him say 225, 205, you can't find a script on the street almost for that kind of money. So we need to hurry up and get something accomplished here. So,
And Chairwoman, I just want the fact that he's my frat of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. Thank you.
okay. But he's all our brother. He's all our brother. We're all taking part in that. Okay. All right. So let's go on to our resolutions. Mr. Gay, Madam Attorney.
A resolution of the Board of the Opa-locka Community Redevelopment Agency, OCRA, approving the waiver of potential late fees and interest associated with the city of Opa-locka not timely depositing tax incremental revenue in a prior year, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date.
Mr. Director, you want to talk about this, please?
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. This resolution was presented to you at the last CRA meeting, and you actually asked for it to be deferred to this meeting for additional information. We provided you with that additional information within the packet, and I will have the budget administrator for the city of Opa-locka to come and basically explain where we are with this particular item. But I must say, as Mr. Anthony comes forth, I must say that when you look at this information and you read into the resolution information, yes, the city of Opa-locka has had its challenges over the past 4 or 5 years. And because of those particular challenges, there were certain funds that could not be put into the CRA at that particular point in time. But yet and still, there were expenses related to the CRA that the city of Opa-locka paid for. So you would need to bear that in mind, that while the city was not expending the tax increment dollars and putting that in place in the account, and there are state statutes that stipulate when dollars are supposed to be put into a CRA account or be subject to interest and late fees. So when we calculated this information out, we basically looked at it from two perspectives. What the expenses were that the city had already paid for as it relates to the operation of the CRA, and whether it should be viewed as something where the expenses outweigh the interest and penalties. And as a part of your evaluation, you can look at it from the standpoint that it may be something that could be considered a wash item. So I will have Mr. Anderson come up and basically explain very briefly how we have arrived to this particular picture and the direction we need to take from here.
Hi, good evening, Bob Anathan. I didn't know I was going to speak tonight, but I can do that. Basically, what's going on, and I'm going to take a minor exception to what Mr. Gay just said. The city had adopted a practice, not necessarily because of need. The city has paid the CRA bills all along. And just for a matter of convenience, they didn't put the money into the CRA bank account and then take it back out, which would have been one more step. So they have been essentially paying bills for the CRA since 2012. And at the end of each year, they would reconcile that. And if they owed the CRA money, they would try and put it in. They didn't always get it exactly right. But what the basis of the work that you're looking at tonight was basically painfully done on a month-by-month basis. Did take a shortcut for the annual expenditures that I just divided by 12. But basically, starting, well, by way of real background, the city paid the CRA expenses for all the way through FY16. When the TIF money finally began to be earned, the first couple of years of TIF payments were used to pay back the city for what they had spent in the first 5 years. After that, as I said, the city practice had been not because they necessarily needed the money, but it was just more convenient to hold the money, pay the bills, and then settle it with CRA at the end of the year. So from about FY16 on, they were always a little bit behind when you looked at the state statute. State statute says you do put the money into the CRA account and then take it back out to pay the bills. Again, the city was just taking a shortcut. So from about FY16 through FY20, the city was lagged behind in getting the money into the account on a timely basis. And going through that on a month-by-month basis, you see the numbers that you have here tonight, which I think basically, just a reminder, the statute says that any time that the city does not get the money into the account by January 1st of the year in which it was earned, there's an automatic, well, I shouldn't say, it allows for a 5% penalty. And then it says, okay, every month thereafter that money does not get into the account, charge the unpaid balance by another 1%. Working through that tonight, the numbers you see are, I think, approximately $77,000 of the penalties, and the interest is $113,000. So that basically, in a thumbnail sketch, is what I did. I stand ready to answer any questions as to the basis of the numbers.
Thank you, Mr. Director, Mr. Anthony. I have quite a bit that is not sitting too well with me right now concerning this. Because when I read the documents, it said that the money was used because the city needed it to pay its bills. Myself, I think, and Board Member Titus probably were here when, well, I know Board Member Titus was on the commission when the CRA first started, and then later joined the CRA board, right, shortly after I did. And when I first came on the CRA board, I was not the chair. And we asked at that time, I know I have asked for a long time, why the CRA money was not being put into its own account. And the answer that I was given is because it was doing a reconciliation to see how much the CRA owed the city and how much the city in return owed the CRA, to see whether or not it was going to be a wash. And what was done when the reconciliation was done last year, then it was brought out that the CRA was owed monies by the city. The city paid the money to the CRA that it owed from the water and sewer fund. The city paid that money, but when it came, the CRA paid that money to the city, but when it came to the city paying the CRA through the reconciliation, all of that was taken into an account. So my first question for clarity, because most of the board members were not on the board during that time, was it because you just made the statement that the reason why the monies were not put there is because of, I can't remember the word that you used, the wording that you used, but in this document, it states that the money was not put there because it was to help the city pay its bills.
Ma'am, I'm not aware of what document you're looking at. There was nothing that I wrote that said anything about the city needing the money and not putting it in. It was done, my understanding, as a matter of practice, it was done as a matter of convenience, just it was an easier way to pay the bills and then settle up with the CRA later on. So if there's another document around, I apologize, I'm not familiar with it.
Okay, well, answer this question for me. What is the total amount of money that of the late fees, because you went back to 2012? Oh, no, you went back to 2015.
Well, that was the first year that TIF was earned, yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Because before that time, the city, when the city first started the CRA, they were not recognized as a CRA because it had not passed through the county yet. So the state said in those, in the documents that we received from the state, they said that they could not recognize, the city had to kind of, I don't know whether, I'm using the word eat, but that's not the wording that they used, that the city had to take on that responsibility of that money because they went ahead before the CRA was really adopted by the county. They went ahead and started the CRA and they accumulated bills. They hired a director. They did all of those things without them being a CRA. So they know that there was not going to be any TIF money for those years because we were not considered a CRA. So I'll go back to my question because I think the history is very important when we're talking about this this money. I'm not saying that I don't agree with giving a waiver to the city, but I think the facts should be told as well so that the board members that were not here then will better understand why the monies were not put into the account. So the document came from community relations, and I think they are more familiar with what took place. So
Yes, sir, ma'am, can I address that point? Can I address the
before
point
you continue, let me ask Mr. Gay. Mr. Gay, in this document, does it state that the monies were used for the city to pay bills?
I don't recall that specific statement. Now,
I'm gonna find it for you.
as I've spoken to in relationship to expenditures, from 2009 to 2012 was the time period where the CRA was being created. The CRA did not actually come into its actual operation until December 4th, 2012. And consequently, from 2012 to 2013, and that was when the finding of necessities was approved by the county. In 2013 is when the redevelopment plan was adopted and approved, along with the interlocal agreement was established. And then from there, 2013 is the actual beginning of when the TIF was being generated.
Okay, can you hold that point for a moment?
Sure.
Okay, so from 2013 is when the city with the CRA actually was acknowledged by the county as being a CRA. So from 2012, those monies that were paid by the city couldn't recoup them from the CRA because first of all, we were not acknowledged as CRA. Am I correct in that?
You are correct.
Okay. Now, let me move to the next point, Mr. Anderson.
May I address that point, please? I think what you're referring to is in the audit that was done by the state in 2019. They identified $86,000 of monies that were expended prior to December of 2012 when the
Yes.
CRA became official. They said, justify it. We went back to the county the county organization that oversees the CRA. And we said, is it normal that a CRA is charged for its startup fees? And their answer was, yes, that's normal. So they were saying it's perfectly normal for the CRA to be charged, if you will, for those expenses, even though the CRA didn't exist at that time. And that's how we've responded to the state in the most recent audit that's currently underway.
Okay, well. Okay.
And
okay.
Madam Chair, if I could provide you a little bit more
Mr. Gay,
clarification.
hold 1 second, hold 1 second.
Okay.
I'm gonna allow someone else. Because those findings that we got as a CRA was included in the findings for the city. A lot of those findings that we as a CRA got was because of actions that were taken by the city. So I just want to say that I'm not trying to be difficult, but when we give the facts, I want the board members, especially the new board members, to make sure that they have the correct facts, because what we're doing as a CRA, we are voting on not receiving monies that is due us. It looks like, would you be adding, Mr. Anderson, through Mr. Gay, would you be adding the 76, 874, and 113 is what would be owed to the CRA, those two columns together?
That is what is allowable under the state statute.
Okay. I read the state statute and I understand that that's what's allowable, but that's what's allowable because it was not done. So those are monies that's owed to the CRA. So you are trying to make it as if, you don't have to do it. No, well, we know we don't have to do it, but you're coming to us for a waiver. So in order to get the waiver, it must have been something that should have been done. So, anyway, anyone else? Mr. Gay, let some of the other board members say something and then you can respond to them, because I'm not. Go ahead,
Chairwoman.
Board Member Paget.
I echo your sentiments. If the city didn't pay, I think it's time for the city to pay, because there's a lot of things we need to do within the CRA, and we need the funds that we need to take care of that. And I hope that we can negotiate with the city on some type of pay schedule. But at the end of the day, these funds can be put to some great use here in the CRA to develop our community. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chair, sorry.
Yes, Vice Chair Davis.
I just want to echo the same sentiments of yourself and Board Member Pygott. You know, I guess the 86,000 that was expended before the CRA was in existence, although it's an allowable, and I guess the goal is to have it waived and ultimately not have those funds reconciled on the city's behalf. But I share those same sentiments. I think we need to use those funds diligently on the CRA, and I would support any effort to do so. Thank you.
Anyone else? I'm Board Member Taylor, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
To the chair, okay, I'm new to the board, so I guess I need it explained in layman's term. So we're looking at the 76 plus the 113, that's to what the city owes us.
Yes, because you can charge the penalty for not depositing the money, and then you could charge interest on the monies that should have been deposited. So, and Board Member Taylor, I wouldn't bring this up as an issue, but you could go back and check the minutes. I've asked on this board since I've been chair to deposit the money in the CRA's account. And that's the reason why I'm so adamant about this, because I used to, when Mr. Daughtry was here, I used to ask Mr. Daughtry. When Mr. Daughtry left, I used to ask the next person, when are we going to deposit the money into the CRA's account? And I've always been told that you don't have to do it. It's up to you all whether or not you do it. But I know that I've asked that question numerous of times. That's why I'm adamant about this. I'm not saying that, you know, we got to get the whole amount, but I think that something should be done, because it was like, you know, like I was talking to the wind. And especially since I've been chair, I've asked that question. I've even asked the question, why in the CRA's budget, why the city's not taking out whatever money that they owe, because our account is never being reconciled. As to say, there's a portion of community relations budget that comes from the CRA. I mean, community development budget that comes from the CRA. That money should be being reconciled and taken from our budget so that we would have a clear picture of how much money the CRA has. Because you're giving us a financial report every month, and really, they haven't taken any money to pay the salaries and the fringes that go for the staff for the Mr. Gay's department. So that's why I'm adamant, because if they don't reconcile, we just 15 minutes ago told this developer that we'll support you. We have the facade program that we're supporting. Have anything come out of our account for the facade program? Nothing. So we don't know, are they getting paid? Who's paying them? Is the city going to pay them and then come back and say, oh, we paid this on behalf of the CRA, you owe us money plus interest? We don't know. And that should not be done, because myself and Commissioner Titus, we don't sit on the city side. So we don't see what goes on. We only know what goes on the CRA side. So the city, on the city side, the commission may have privy to knowledge that we don't have. So it's not fair to us to have to sit here month after month, and you all have heard me say it before, why isn't the money that the CRA owe the city? Why isn't that money being reconciled on a quarterly basis or a monthly basis, or however it should be coming out of that account? So we don't think we got 1 million in whatever that budget says. So that's why I'm passionate about this, because I've been asking about it, and Mr. Gay will tell you, I've asked him over and over again, we need to do something about this, because the board is thinking we have one thing when it's really not that. Because no money have come out of the account. Have the facade program, that's $100,000. Have they been paid? Does anybody know? Have they been paid? And we're talking about the facade program. We're talking about the people should put up signs. Maybe they can't put up signs because we haven't given them any money. So that's why I'm adamant.
So, Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
to date, we're fighting the penalties, or have we gotten any tip dollars? to
Yeah,
date?
we have TIF dollars. We have, what do we have, Mr. Director? Mr. Gay, I'm sorry.
Within your package, we have the financial report at the rear in section K.
I want mine fixed like yours.
Okay,
Okay, so
we'll take that under advisement. And the amount that is in our account as it stands right now is $1,562,958.29.
That's all the way to the back of your packet, all the way to the back.
The last page.
There's a
It should
copy
be
of the bank
page
account.
111, CRA 111.
oh, okay, so that's what we currently have.
That's how much TIF dollars you have in the account. Now, I must say, while I have the opportunity, there have been expenses that the city has paid on behalf of the CRA. That's why that language is within the resolution. So if we actually did an actual calculation of how much TIF dollars should be in the account versus the TIF dollars that's presently in the account, that number would be higher, but there have been expenses that have been paid by the city, so those dollars have been drawn out from this area. And I agree with you, we have not provided you with the
excuse me.
documentation
Hold that, Mr. Gay.
of those expenditure
No,
exchanges
hold
between the
that.
city and the CRA.
Mr. Gay, hold that. Hold that. I have been watching bank accounts since we got the CRA bank account. I have not seen not one deduction. I haven't seen not one expense come out of this account. Maybe I overlooked it, but I haven't seen it. So you're telling me now that this 156295929, that the TIF money that came in, that you didn't put all of the TIF money into the account, the city took their monies first and put the remainder? You're saying, you're shaking your head,
may I
and you're
address
saying
it?
no.
I'm not shaking my head.
Oh, okay, all right.
I'll let Mr. Annington
Yeah.
explain that.
Madam,
Okay, let Mr. Annington answer that,
If
please.
I may. The city has paid every TIF, every CRA expense for the last, I guess.
Mr. Annington, that's not the question. The
Yes, ma'am.
question
I'm
is,
trying to answer it, ma'am.
we don't want, I'm not, please don't think I'm trying to be rude, please, okay? But we don't want the fluff. We just want the answer.
Yes, ma'am.
Have the money that have come from the county, the TIF dollar amount, if it was $1, did that whole $1 go into this account? Or did the city take its 29 cents first of what was owed to them and then put the remainder?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so all of the money that have come from the county and the TIF pertaining to TIF dollars have gone into this account.
$1.9 million. By way of background, please, it's not fluff. I'm trying to explain what the city practice has been. They've held on to the TIF dollars, and then they have paid all of the CRA bills. They have made deposits to the CRA account, a total of $1.9 million based on a year-end reconciliation each year. They have not held the money because of need. They did it for expediency. Right now, I would say, in response to the discussion a moment ago, how much more is owed to the CRA? Probably about $200,000 on top of what's in the bank account right now. But there has never been a question of the city grabbing the money, using it for its own purposes. I'm sorry, ma'am?
That's not what we up here are saying. What we're saying is just give us the facts and then we can understand them. We pretty good at reading numbers and following the bank accounts, and we know addition and subtraction. If we had this amount last time and then we added to it, we know that you're going to be in the plus. We know you're not going to be in the minus. So
Yes, ma'am.
someone else can go ahead, because I'm not, maybe I'm misunderstood. Maybe I'm not, I'm sorry. Maybe I'm not explaining it the way that.
No, ma'am, what I was saying is you will not see, up till now, you would not have ever seen the account go down because the city has paid the bills and put the surplus into the CRA bank account.
That's what I asked you, Mr. Anthony. That's what
right.
I asked. I asked that question.
Yeah.
If the county gave you $100, do that whole $100 go into this account?
No, ma'am, it did not. The city held the money to pay your bill, pay the CRA bills. It's not because they needed the money. It was just an easier way to do it.
But sir, that's what I asked you.
I'm sorry that I misunderstood the question.
Okay, all right. I'm sorry. Board Member Paget had his hand up.
I think Chairman Russell, you hitting this right on the head in terms of our lack of understanding of or lack of reports in regards to our budget to actuals and what's actually in the bank account. So to the executive director or to the budget, when's the last time we've received a budget to actuals report?
Receive what kind of report? I didn't hear you.
Budget to actual, basically
Budget
our
to actual?
to actually
Oh,
what's being spent and what's being transacted, because that's what you're asking about, is that report about how the money is being spent. And usually at the very least, it's at a quarterly basis. When's the last time this board has received that?
Mayor, no disrespect, but as you know, accounting has been tied up in knots trying to get the operational audits done. And they have not provided CRA reports. They have not provided city reports, as you're well aware. That is not by design. That's not by neglect. It's just by trying to prioritize and make sure they get caught up in their audits. So there could be an estimate done. I could probably do it for you, but you're not going to get the, as you well know, given what accounting is focusing on right now, city accounting, those reports just aren't yet available. I think they're very close to being available. And once they are available, they will become available on both a monthly and a quarterly basis.
So the question was, when was the last time this board has received a budget to actuals report?
I would suspect it's been years. I don't know. For the same reason that the city has not gotten those reports either.
Excuse me,
So,
Board Member
hold on.
Paget.
The-
Mr. Anthony,
Yes, ma'am.
please, I said it before, myself and Commissioner and Board Member Titus, we don't sit on the commission. So you could, but it's not beneficiary to us that don't sit on the commission to say to us that we are aware of what goes on in the accounting department as the commission is, because we're not privy to that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay?
No, I understand.
All right, thank you. Go ahead, Board Member Paget.
Thank you, Ms. Russell, because that's the challenge here, is that the whole body isn't being told what is going on. And our finances are at the basic bedrock of understanding how money is moved, what is being paid, and what is happening. So it is very difficult to sit on a board of any organization and not know where the money is. And if the CRA is paying for financial resources, the CRA should receive that level of basic reporting. And yes, to your point, that's been a challenge even on the city side. And that is a major, major, major problem. And it's affecting everything. And it is completely unacceptable because we need this information to make decisions. Like we're brought here to make all these financial decisions without the reports to tell us where the money is. So here we are, the city, the city is proposing to waive these funds, and we don't know the impact of that because we don't have the information. So it is something we need to address, and that's why I'm not in support of waiving this, because I'm not going to give away money. Like we're as a CRA board on any side, we need to know. So I thank you, Chairwoman Russell, for bringing this to light and pushing this issue, because this is a very serious and an important issue that we need to know about. And I hope that we do get those numbers and continue to get those numbers on a regular basis, and we get those numbers swiftly so that we can know what's going on in this city, in the CRA. Thank you.
Before, I know I've taken up a lot of the time, but I would say to Mr. Director, I'm not against the waiver in some form, but I think in order to get the consensus of the entire CRA board, it might be helpful if you all would give us an itemized financial report of the CRA's money that have come in, what has been spent, and the money that has come in from the county, what has been taken out by the city to pay its bills, which I believe the city should, the CRA should be paying its bills. I believe that I've told Mr. Gay that several times. And then bring this back with those documents so that we could see as a CRA financially, what kind of money do we have? And then I think that you probably will get more of a favorable response to your waiver. You probably will get more of a favorable response to the waiver if you gave us more documents to help us better understand why you all want the waiver. And when I spoke of the monies being used, I got that from the resolution where it says that in carrying out its responsibility to pay all OCRA bills on behalf, did not first deposit the annual tax increment revenue. That's where I got that from, that, the city was holding it to pay its bills.
To pay the CRA bills.
Okay, yeah, to
That-
pay the
that's-
CRA bill.
That's what that whereas is referencing. The city held those dollars to pay the CRA's bills,
Yeah.
not the city's bills,
Okay.
the
but
CRA's bills.
That's why I asked that.
And I need to make that differentiation.
Okay, that's why I asked the question, when the money comes from the county, do the city deposit the whole amount of the money, or is it the bills taken out? That's why I asked that question. And the first answer I got was no, but then you corrected it when you understood better what was said. Okay.
Through the chair,
Yes, ma'am. Board
um,
Member Williams.
just a quick question. Thank you for breaking it down so that Commissioner Taylor and I do understand what took place before we got here and now, what's taking place. I'm hearing to pay the CRA bills. I've never seen the bills. Like, what are the CRA bills? I've never seen anything itemized that was paid. These are the things that CRA pays. So when we say pay its bills, what are those bills?
Real quickly, the CRA, the bills that are related to the CRA, 10% of the salaries and expenses relating to planning and community development is one of those particular expenses of the CRA. There are fees that we have to pay to the state. There are fees that we have to pay to the county, which come on an annual basis. And if there are any other additional fees that are associated with different organizations like the Florida Redevelopment Association or something else that will help out the CRA, those are expenses that thus far, the city has pretty much fronted the money to pay those particular expenses. We don't have it really broken out what they are on a weekly or a monthly basis. And I think that's the information that you are requesting, to see that even on a quarterly basis. So we can get that information to you so that you have a much better understanding. I think within Mr. Anathan's memo, it kind of gave you a summary of some of the expenses that have occurred each year and how certain things have been broken out. But I think we need to give you something a lot more concise to say, for the month of January, there was this bill that came in and this expense had to be paid. For February, this particular bill, so that we can basically do it either that way or minimally on a quarterly basis, so that we can give you a much better understanding.
Yes, if I could add to that as well. I mean, for example, your downtown master plan, the city paid for it, and out of the TIF dollars that it was holding at the time. So it's not just a few fees here and there. It's for every goods and services. It pays for your legal fees, pays for your consultant fees, and so forth. Over the course of 10 years, it's been about $1.2 million.
So, to the Madam Chair, to piggyback on what my colleague said, if the CRA has been paying our bills, so they're saying we need to waive because do we owe the city? Because I think that's where the confusion is coming in. It's like the defense is, we've been paying your bills when you didn't have. That's what it sounds like. That's why I guess that's why me and that's why we're confused.
May I try to address it?
Yeah,
I apologize, I'm not doing a good job.
State fees and association
What
fees
has
and-
happened is that under the state statute, the city is intended to put the money into the CRA bank account each year by January 1st. City practice has been said to themselves, hey, we're just going to pay the bills for the CRA anyhow. So they just kept it in their own bank account. So essentially, at the moment, I would estimate that the city owes the CRA unpaid TIF dollars around $200,000. But other than that, the money has not, it's not that the city, not that you owe the city anything. It's just that the city did not adhere to the strict requirements of the state statute. This, be very honest, in this era of low interest rates, CRA really suffered essentially no damage from it.
Okay, so then I guess I'm back on Chairwoman's, the chair question. So the money wasn't being directly deposited into the
Correct.
CRA account.
That's correct.
You were spending on behalf of the CRA
Exactly.
without letting the CRA know.
It's not a question of letting, no, it was just a recognized practice. Whoever was in the CRA was fully aware of what was being done. So it was not something.
But
that was
it wasn't fully aware because everybody says they didn't know.
Well,
So it's not really a recognized
if-
practice.
Madam Chair, through the chair, if I can just add a little clarification. You approve an annual budget every year. All of the expenditures that are related to the CRA are basically expenditures paid based on the budget. So there's not going to be any additional expenditures beyond that. So if
No,
it's
not
a
about
line item within the
expenditure,
budget,
it's-
the city has been paying those particular expenditures on behalf of the CRA. And I can understand that there's a whole lot of confusion with this. Madam Chair,
it's kind of all over the place.
if it would be appropriate, we can defer this item once again to bring back additional information. I also want to be able to bring forward the information on reconciliation that we presented you about a year ago.
You have that.
So
Mhm,
that would give you some sense of a starting point
mhm.
relating to expenditures relating between the city and the CRA, and give you further clarification. And we'll look at showing what those additional expenditures have been that have been budgeted and approved relating to the CRA.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Anderson. Thank you. I think that would help us out, Mr. Gay, Mr. Gay. I think that would help us out a lot. But again, and I don't want to beat, like they say, beat a dead horse, but if we would give financial reports, and we do approve the budget, but again, and I know I've asked this question, when is the money being taken out of the account? And I've never been given the answer that I've been given tonight, that when the money comes from the county, the city takes the money out to pay the bills of the CRA, which I have no problem with. But that's why it's important, board members, for us to look at those bylaws and how we conduct business. Because again, we're going to have findings from the state concerning this CRA and how we handle money when we're really not the ones that is saying how the money is being handled, because we don't have it in our bylaws and we don't have policy and procedure. We're piggybacking on the policy and procedures that the city has. And again, if the city have findings in that area, we're going to have findings. And when the auditor called me and spoke to me about the findings, I couldn't answer because I told him I don't get involved in that. But he called me because he said that I was supposed to give him an answer. So we could, Mr. Gay has said he would defer it. We need to look at those bylaws. We need to see whether the policy and procedure of the city is how this board wants to conduct themselves, and move on. And I know we have another resolution here that we need to go over, but this whole waiver thing really got me kind of a little bit.
Madam Chair.
Yes, sir.
Just for my clarity and for me, is there a way that we can get a breakdown on the CRA's financials, if you will?
That's what Mr. Gay said
what-
he's gonna do.
that's what
He's
he's
gonna
okay,
give
I
us a
understand. I'm sorry.
breakout of the money that have come in, how, what the city has paid on.
No, that's not what I mean. In this sense, the recurring expenses that keeps coming up in the bills that the city's paying, can we get that?
Yeah, that's
you
what
talk
he
about
said he's
salary-
gonna
okay,
give
okay.
us. Like whatever bills that the city is paying on behalf of the CRA, he's gonna give us that breakout and then let us know how we got to this. And one thing that was also surprising to me, Mr. Director, is that Mr. Anderson says that there's about a $200,000 amount that the city still has to put into the bank account for the CRA. When did that those TIF dollars come in?
The TIF dollars are due in on December 31st, January 1st of every year.
Okay, so the $200 amount that he's referring to is from the monies that came in December 2020.
That would be correct.
Okay, all right.
Yes, may I address that? The,
That's up to,
I'm sorry.
if Mr. Gay have,
Let's not address it right now.
Okay.
Because I know we can provide that clarification in writing. And let's address it that way.
okay, that'd be good. Mr. Gay would prefer addressing it in writing. Because we have, again, the facade resolution that we need to deal with. And they were here on the last meeting and they waited till all the way to the end of the meeting, and we don't want them to come in vain again. So,
Through the chair, are we voting on this item or is this item deferred?
no,
I'm
he's deferring the item.
Okay, I didn't hear that. Thank you.
Yes, okay. Okay. I'm sorry, Madam Clerk.
Just before we go into the next resolution, as I stated earlier, I want to provide the letter of the applicant that was sent me today. I'm going to pass it along to everyone.
A letter that,
Was sent, yes, ma'am. I received it today from Mr. Delane.
I'll explain the letter.
Okay.
okay, is it relating to the facade?
Yes, it is.
A resolution too?
I'll
Okay.
I'll explain the letter.
She can pass it out now?
Yes, she can pass it.
Okay, he said you can pass it out.
Madam Chair, you want me to read it in the record?
Yes, please.
Pass it up. A resolution of the Board of the Opa-locka Community Redevelopment Agency, OCRA, authorizing, thank you, forgiveness of 33.3% payment for improvement to business for an applicant of the Facade Improvement Program, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date.
Move it.
It's been moved in second discussion, Mr. Gay.
Yes. Madam Chair, members of the board, this is a resolution for two of our applicants that had applied for the Facade Improvement Program funding. Due to some financial concerns relating to COVID and financial hardships, we've had two applicants bring letters before you to basically ask that they be waived on the 33%, which would be their owners or business owners' contribution toward the Facade Improvement Program. As you are aware, the allocation was originally $15,000, with $5,000 being the 33% coming from the applicant themselves. COVID has really made things a little bit difficult for some of our applicants, and that's the reasoning for them to request this waiver. One of the applicants did want to appear before you today, but unfortunately, they're having some family issues, which is explained within the letter, where they had a family member they had to put into the hospital. So they weren't able to be at the meeting to basically express their concerns, but they wanted to at least put it in writing so that you would see that they had intentions on being here for this particular meeting. But unfortunately, things arise and family challenges come into play, and they had to basically prioritize what they needed to do. Nonetheless, these two applicants have basically asked for the waiver of the 33%, which is the owner's share of the 15,000. So in other words, they're asking that you would allow them to move forward with a $10,000 allocation from the CRA to move forward with their facade program for those two particular applicants.
Okay. Any,
We do have Mr. Strickland here, who has been managing the project on behalf of us through Opa-locka Community Development Corporation. If you have any questions that you would like to ask him, or if you have any questions for Mr. Delane, who's the project manager, they can address those particular concerns.
Questions from the board?
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
I have a few questions, I guess as it relates to the allocation. To the director, as he explained that the 15,000.
Excuse me, Vice Chair, talk in the mic, please.
Sorry, the 15,000 was actually, I guess, allocated with a $5,000 match that's requested of the applicants in the amount of 33%. As it relates to the, I guess, what's the total scope? Like, what's the cost of the total scope of the project? Is it 10 or 15? Or is 10 is the option that we're given if the person or applicant can't achieve the $5,000 match? Can you help kind of explain that
Sure.
aspect of it?
Through the chair, we had set an allocation as far as the application process of $15,000, 10,000 coming from the CRA, and a $5,000 match from the property owner. So it would be a total of 15,000. Now, there have been applicants who have looked at utilizing more of their business funding to support their facade improvement program. But the $10,000 mark is the maximum that the CRA would be allocating toward the project.
Got it. That we can contribute. Okay. In this process, you alluded to two owners in particular that were experiencing hardships. And from my understanding, there were a total of, I guess, around five or six that were looking to take advantage.
There's a total of five.
Five, okay. So are these the only two applicants that experienced hardships? We didn't hear any feedback from the other three. I know that the board wanted to ensure that that we gave all the applicants the same sort of opportunity.
This particular process, we've looked at it on a first come, first served basis. At this time, these are the only two that have indicated that they've had some financial hardships.
Got it. And just for a point of clarity, this is available to, like, it's an option that's available for the other three applicants if they.
When we initially put out the application through Opa-locka Community Development Corporation, they did do an addendum to that particular application to provide for flexibility. And if there were some hardship concerns that they could be addressed. Unfortunately, that information was issued and not brought before this particular board for consideration at that time. But staff agreed that we would do that to help out our applicants as much as possible. So that's where we are right now. That information is also included within the packet. I know it's a little bit of voluminous. It relates to the amount of paperwork that's in here, but nonetheless, we wanted to give any and all applicants an opportunity to utilize these funds to make these improvements for their businesses.
Okay, and I guess the two applicants, I know one was I believe a restaurant that was located in the CRA area. What was the second applicant that was looking to take advantage of the hardship?
If I can ask Mr. Delane to come up. I don't want to get the applications and the names mixed up.
Okay.
Corian Delane, CRA planner, through the chair. The two applicants, the first one was Mr. Tracy Tompkins, which, as you see, his application is in there. And the second one is John Caldwell of Caldwell Distributors. Both of these applicants, as well as all the applicants in their applications, had the option to pursue a waiver if they were experiencing hardships due to COVID-19. If you look in your package on page 42, you'll see the waiver application that basically showcases that if you fall under this criteria and if you basically check off on all the boxes, then you're eligible for that waiver. So if they didn't qualify for those exceptions, they weren't eligible for the waiver. In regards to additional information, I'll actually turn it over to the project manager with the OLCDC, Eric Strickland, that could actually elaborate on those, on the rationale behind the waivers.
Thank you. Eric Strickland, 490 Opa-locka Boulevard, Opa-locka, Florida. The waiver that's in the packet tonight, at the time we were distributing these through mail, through internet, through direct contacts, and we also mailed every property, commercial property owner in the CRA district. There was a lot of uncertainty that we would have enough participants to run the program. We were happy that only 2 had the need for the waiver, the match. From the prior meeting, there was a question, does the waiver or the match interfere with the project? We evaluated the projects. A lot of the projects are for signage, painting the building, and awning, visible exterior facade improvements. And the granting of a waiver didn't interfere with the project scope. So there would be a complete project, not a partially complete project out there. So that was the justification.
Excuse me, Mr. Stricker, I didn't hear the end of the last of your question. It kind of went muffled. You said that it would not interfere with the project.
It would not provide an incomplete or partially completed project.
Okay.
So each of the scopes of all 5 awards are consistent with other facade grant programs that CRAs run. So improvements to the facades.
Okay.
Vice Chair Davis, you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So to take it a step further, I just wanted to ensure that the 2 applicants that ended up applying for the waiver, just want to be sure that it wasn't an issue, I guess, of qualification. So, I know only 2 applied, I guess, and I see that based on the guidelines that I guess we're looking at smaller size businesses with, it says a business that employs less than 10 employees. So I just want to, ensure that the opportunity is equitable and that, it's not a matter of size or any other qualification that would prevent any additional businesses from taking advantage of the same process. So thank you.
Anyone else have any concerns? Yes, sir.
Chairman
Okay.
Wilson. What exactly are these projects doing to their buildings?
So for John Caldwell Distribution, they're repainting the complete exterior of the building, installing exterior surveillance and security system. So for Tracy Tompkin, he's doing soffit repairs, which is the roofing element in the front of the building, painting the exterior building, resealing the parking lot, and signage.
You say security? We're paying for someone to put cameras up?
So that's what they had in their scope here.
That's for Caldwell, right?
Caldwell.
And that is included as one of the elements that can be dealt with as a part of the facade improvement, security.
And where is that in the policy and procedures manual that's attached to this?
So we should have a list of eligible improvements in the procedure manual.
Yeah, I'm looking at page 54 and under section 6 of the procedures manual. And I see the example of eligible improvements, the primary facade. And then I see the ancillary. Where does security cameras fall into that?
On the next page, Board Member Paget, I think it says the renewal or installation of new security
Right
devices.
at the
It's on the
top.
next page.
There you go. Thank you. Okay.
Okay.
All right. I didn't know we had that included. That's interesting. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Corian Delane, CR planner again. If you would like, he can actually give his presentation for the updates for the facade improvement, either at this time or during discussions, so he can elaborate fully.
So that will be helpful. Like if we're going to be spending money, like I said, we need to know what's going on. So
Also,
I
you
would
can
like
look at
to
page
be
93.
clear about what are those projects? Like, can you tell us, are they submitting pictures? Are they submitting designs? Can we get that information so that we know
Before and after.
what's coming up?
If you look on page 93, behind discussions and presentations, that's actually the update from June 4th, which the pictures, the description of the work being done, previous reports that we've had has actually had the before photos and the photos during construction. We can actually provide that for you at your leisure through the chair.
Oh, these are the signs.
Signs were provided. However, if there are the signs that I know that were mentioned before, we can actually show what kind of signs those are and also the price, just so you all are aware.
I'm not gonna talk about signs.
We could get bigger signs.
Mr.
All right.
Delane.
It would be
I'm not gonna
helpful.
talk about
I think it's, well, I guess one of the things that want to make sure that if we're going to be doing forgiveness, if we're going to be doing these things, like just show us this information so that we know, and not just us as a board, but our community. Looking at these signs, and it's something that very few people would even notice. And I think the whole point of what the CRA board has been really pushing is to make sure that people know that we're doing something in the city. So sharing this on CRA page, on a website, on social media, talking about it, doing presentations, those are the things that we want to be able to see, so that our community know that we're actually moving. So that's all I have. But I just want to be clear about what we're doing. And also, again, if we're going to be giving away money or anything, like let's see what that looks like in terms of finances. How much out of the budget facade program is there? How much is supposed to be expended? And how would this impact future dispensations? Like those basic things are what we need, that anybody would want to make proper decisions. And that's what I hope that we can get here on this board. Thank you.
With that being said, there are a few avenues. We can actually address that in our next report to explain, in terms of signage, marketing, anything to at least acknowledge the work that's being done. Also, another point, I know that Mr. Tompkins, as well as Mr. Caldwell, has actually requested a member of the board, if not the chair, any board members to actually come to the site and have a discussion with them about the improvements being made. They'll actually greatly appreciate the fact that the CRA board can actually come and see the work being done. So.
Through the chair.
Yes, ma'am.
Just a quick question, Mr. Delane. On page 98, it says business closed due to unforeseen health issues. Is this a temporary close, or are we providing money to a business that's closed? Or are they reopening? Page 98.
Yes, so that is
Page 90 what?
98.
under discussions and presentations.
This is actually one of the sites that's requesting the waiver.
No, I know, but it says business closed due to unforeseen health issues.
In
So what
their
I-
original letter, their request for the waiver was due to them coming down with COVID. And it was not, they weren't able to recover as quickly as they thought. So it took a very long time. So they actually had to shut down their operation for a short period of time.
So are they open, or, I mean, do we know they're gonna reopen before we?
I was just advised that the business will reopen.
Okay.
This is just, helping them stay on their feet.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, Mr. Deland. I'm lost for words, but you know where my mind went, right? Sign, okay, all right. I would like to ask, Mr. Strickland from Opa-locka CDC. During the facade program, we know that, COVID came along and a lot of things happened. And when you all first started, it was kind of difficult to get people involved. That's one of the reasons why we were so pushing for signs, because then other businesses would see what we're doing. Now that you've done the facade program, and for some of them, you're almost finishing. First of all, we would like to go as a board and take pictures with them so that at least we'll have that for our own records, since we don't have our large signs. But how do you think moving forward, do you think this project will cause us to have more participation? Do you think people have a more favorable outlook on Opa-locka CRA doing a facade program?
So two questions there. Business owners speak with each other. So as they are successfully reimbursed, these 5, there will be reassured that the program can be completed timely, that it's successful. So we know that those 5 will be there. Addressing your signage question, I've given some examples of other project signage to staff. They'll look at those. That's part of it. I do believe that these programs are successful. The model we used for the entire policy manual was from the 7th Avenue CRA, and adopting it here, working with staff, and it will evolve. I hope that we don't have another COVID event where businesses are closed and very nervous about spending what little money they have left in the bank account. So that was a large hardship, but you have 5 facades going. That's a great start. Bring them in, promote them on social media. A lot of the business owners here had never been approached for anyone to help them. So it was a new relationship to establish. But we reach out to them every week. They've all received permits. Some have hired architects. They've all hired contractors. They're showing us what's been spent. I think a good basis is here, that you all can look at this program and add your comments to it as you speak with the owners. That's the point of the pilot program. So it reflects this community.
Okay. And have we been able to reimburse any of the businesses for their expenses?
Over the last 2 weeks, we've submitted 3 reimbursement packages, which we have to photograph the work in place. We have to get approved permits. We have to provide all of those copies, that documentation. We're currently getting the W-9s and working with Mr. Delane through the financial reimbursement step.
Okay.
So we are right in the middle of that right now. And we're learning what we need to learn.
Okay.
So, and if I could piggyback off of Mr. Strickland's answer, we've been receiving the information from them through Mr. Delane, and we have been submitting it for those particular expenditures to be reimbursed. Of course, they have to go through an elaborate reimbursement process, which involves the state. So unfortunately, yes, everything is going to have to go through the state in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
So that's another step that takes a little time to get those things through that particular process. But we are trying to move it through that process as expeditiously as possible.
Okay. We just want to make sure that on our side, that the businesses don't, that they're being reimbursed timely, if they're giving you the documentation that you need, so that this will be a favorable pilot program. And, we won't have the stigmas, we're not paying them, or, they had to wait too long and things like that, because we want it to be positive. So that's the reason why I wanted to know and you mentioned permits. So they have to prove to you that they're pulling the proper permits through the city.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Madam Chair,
And are we voting on, excuse me, Mr. Director, are we voting on both of these together or are we voting on them individually?
Within the resolution that we have here, I think we only have one, because this was basically deferred from the previous agenda.
Okay.
So we're going to be bringing that one forward now, and then at the next agenda, we will address the second one that we spoke on.
So we're bringing
So
Tompkins down.
we're dealing with Tompkins now, because that was deferred from the previous agenda.
Okay, so and the next time you'll bring,
At the next meeting, we'll bring the other waiver request.
well, why were we discussing the other one if we're, call for the question. We already, it was,
It's been moved.
I had a question.
it's been
Madam-
moved in
Madam
second.
Chair.
I'm sorry,
I'm
go ahead.
Madam Chair, through the chair to the director, as it relates to, I guess it was the signage code that's on the horizon. Of course, we updated our zoning code a few years back, and a new signage ordinance will be going forth, which is one of the reasons why we opted to go into the facade improvement program. Obviously, with security options being on the table, as well as other options. Do we know when that code is set to take place? I know we approved as a commission to extend it, and I know that this process, at least its early intent, was to assist with that process. Do we know when that timeline is, or when we expect our commercial businesses to begin compliance in that area?
Through the chair, that is an item that has been somewhat lingering for quite some time. And to be quite honest with you, we're not quite at the end of the road to address that. But that issue really doesn't affect what the item that's before you today, but it can affect future going items. We will hope that we will be able to move that item forward and bring it before you. We have it pretty much ready to go. We're waiting for some final reviews, and we're going to be bringing that forward to you probably within the next 2 to 3 months.
Okay.
To the CRA or to the
to-
city?
This,
This is, it relates to both, but it's more relating to the
Code,
signage code for the
The
city.
city, okay, okay.
right, and I know we were looking at the facade improvement program to kind of mitigate those concerns, at least as much as we can within the CRA area. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Well, I have one more question then. Before, Mr. Strickland, if I may, was there anything in the budget set aside for signage? Because I was told that those signs are pretty expensive.
So within our budget as the consultant, we had included some small signage. I have an example. It's what was in the photographs. So
Okay.
Our budget
So-
was about $300 for posters and signs. I don't believe that's sufficient, given what you're looking for.
Yes,
So we're providing some alternative budgeting to the staff, and they'll report that to you
Okay.
as they
Okay.
review it.
well, if something is needed from us, see that sign right there?
We're not going to get that.
So
You can't afford it.
the signs.
We can't afford it. Where the money?
Madam Chair.
Can we discuss that at a subsequent meeting?
We probably could discuss it at another meeting, but signage is a big issue for us, Mr. Gay, so,
I understand that, but
maybe we want to, wait a
You
minute,
can't just say we can't.
sir, maybe we want to vote, or as a board, maybe we want to buy signage. You can't,
Madam Chair, this is not an item that is before you at this time.
Okay, all right.
Call for the vote.
Madam Clerk.
Roll
It's been
call?
moved, it's been properly moved in second, right, Madam Attorney?
Yes.
Okay, we can call for the vote.
Okay. Board Member Paget,
Yes.
Board Member Taylor,
Yes.
Board Member Titus,
Yes.
Board Member Williams,
Yes.
Vice Chair Davis,
Yes.
Chair Russell,
Yes.
item passed.
Thank you very much. And due to the extended time that we have been in the meeting, and I'm going to ask this board if we could forego the rest of the agenda and adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Need a second?
I need someone to move it,
Move it.
Move.
Second.
Madam Clerk.
Board Member Paget,
Yes.
Board Member Taylor,
Yes.
Board Member Titus,
Yes.
Board Member Williams,
Yes.
Vice Chair Davis,
Yes.
Chair Russell,
Yes,
meeting adjourned.
thank you all. Have a good evening.